There are comedies that entertain, and then there's Fawlty Towers, a show that pushed boundaries with confidence and a mischievous grin. With only 12 episodes, it managed to become one of the most talked about sitcoms in television history. At its center was John Cleese, whose portrayal of Basil Fawlty turned frustration and insecurity into something hilariously chaotic. The show didn't just flirt with controversy, it embraced it. Every episode felt like a carefully built pressure cooker where small misunderstandings exploded into unforgettable comedy. Yet, among all the laughter, there was one moment that stood out for a different reason. A scene that sparked debate, raised eyebrows, and continued to be discussed decades later. To understand why, you have to look beyond the jokes and into the real-life inspiration that shaped the character of Basil and the world he lived in. The real man behind the madness. The idea for Basil Fawlty came from a real person, Donald Sinclair, the manager of the Glen Eagles Hotel in Torquay. When the Monty Python's Flying Circus team stayed there in 1970, they expected a normal experience. Instead, they found themselves dealing with a man who treated guests with suspicion and irritation. Stories from that stay quickly became legendary. Sinclair once threw a guest's briefcase over a wall, convinced it was dangerous, and constantly criticized guests over minor details. For John Cleese, this wasn't just frustrating, it was comedic gold. Alongside Connie Booth, he transformed these experiences into the character of Basil, a man constantly on edge, obsessed with status, and completely unsuited to hospitality. While exaggerated for humor, the character's core was rooted in reality, making the comedy feel both absurd and strangely believable. Crafting a comedy classic. When Fawlty Towers aired in 1975, it didn't immediately receive universal praise. In fact, the BBC initially hesitated to continue it, but audiences quickly connected with its sharp writing and unforgettable characters. Prunella Scales brought Sybil to life with sharp wit and perfect timing, while Andrew Sachs created the lovable chaos of Manuel. Together, the cast turned everyday situations into brilliantly orchestrated disasters. Behind the scenes, John Cleese and Connie Booth were going through personal changes, yet their creative partnership remained strong. They made the unusual decision to stop after just 2 short series, totaling 12 episodes, a move that ultimately preserved the show's quality and legacy. Rather than stretching it thin, they left audiences wanting more, which only added to its lasting appeal and reputation as one of the finest sitcoms ever made. The scene that sparked debate. One episode, titled The Germans, continues to divide opinion even today. In it, Basil, recovering from a head injury, tries not to mention the war while doing exactly that, spiraling into increasingly awkward and exaggerated behavior. Some viewers saw this clearly as satire, with Basil himself as the target of the joke, a man exposing his own ignorance and social discomfort. Others, however, felt the humor crossed a line and found it difficult to watch. Over the years, parts of the episode have been edited or temporarily removed on certain platforms, reigniting conversations about how older comedy should be handled in modern times. Supporters, including John Cleese, have argued that the intention was never to offend, but to highlight absurd attitudes through exaggeration. Whether seen as bold or controversial, the scene continues to spark discussion, proving that comedy can leave a lasting impact far beyond laughter. A legacy that still lives on. Decades after its release, Fawlty Towers remains a cornerstone of British comedy, even being named one of the greatest TV series by the British Film Institute. Its influence can still be seen in modern sitcoms, and its episodes are studied for their timing, structure, and character-driven humor. The cast's dedication added to its brilliance. Performances were physical, demanding, and sometimes even resulted in real mishaps during filming. Meanwhile, John Cleese went on to further success with projects like A Fish Called Wanda and voice roles in Shrek 2, while other cast members continued their own journeys in television and beyond. What keeps Fawlty Towers relevant isn't just nostalgia, it's the conversation it continues to inspire. It reminds us that comedy evolves, but the questions it raises about taste, boundaries, and intention remain timeless.